Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining this session on copywriting tips for your website. Uh, Along with me is Barry Feldman from Feldman Creative. He's a content marketer and copyright expert, so expert of more than 25 years. And so he has graciously agreed to do a session with us for our audience at Lead Squared to sort of talk about his experience and his experience of working with dozens of clients. I would say dozens or maybe hundreds of clients rather.
Millions?
In million. Yeah. So and my name is Nilesh Patel. I'm the founder and CEO of Lead Squared. So thank you all for joining, and Barry, over to you.
All right, thank you, Nilesh, and hello to the Lead Squared collaborators, and hello to the friends of Lead Squared who come here to learn. I have a lot for you today. I'd like to encourage you to not take notes. There's probably 40 slides here, and I'm going to go through them at a fast clip, as you might imagine, so that we get through this in 30 or 40 minutes. So there's a lot of information, but the slides themselves, as will be the recording, will be available to you afterwards, and as will I. And so we'll get your questions answered. Speaking of questions, there is an opportunity to ask questions as we go. I'll keep my eye there. I'll probably save them till the end, but go ahead and write them down or write them in our GoToMeeting space when they come to you so you don't forget. Okay, so like the introduction said, I am a veteran of content marketing and copywriting, and I guess since the days of Netscape, AOL, Sun Microsystems, if you're old enough to remember all those brands, I've been doing a lot of writing for websites and web pages and web properties, and I have created, this is actually based on a series of posts I've written, copywriting tips for the 3 most important pages on your website. So in order, those are your home page, and your landing page or pages, and your About page or About Us page. Now you might say, if you sell a product or service, that I missed one, and granted, that's true. I don't have presentation or information for you today about your services and products pages, and that's because businesses differ so much in that regard. So I've chosen the 3 most important pages that I know you're going to have. All right, so let's begin. I'm looking for the button that will advance me to the next slide. Here we go. Sorry about that. All right. So when you saw the teaser or the promotions for this webinar, you saw a blue couch, and you probably thought, well, what does that have to do with copywriting? And I'd like to take a shot at answering that now. In my mind, whatever page somebody comes to, and as you might imagine, that's often going to be your home page. If you're out doing a lot of inbound marketing and you have assets, and therefore you have guest blogs and links and perhaps pay-per-click programs, it's conceivable they're going to land on pages other than your home page. But think about this. The first thing they see is related to the last thing they saw, and therefore they want to be made comfortable. You want to, as the writer and the host of your website, say, have a seat. Let's click around, let's stick around, let's spend some time together. We're here to help. And think about how frequently you'll fail if you make the mistakes that I'm encourage you not to make. But even if you do it well, the back button is everybody's favorite button. Everybody's busy and deprived of attention time, and so therefore they're prone to leave. And so your job is to assure them that they should stay, and you do that by making them comfortable. And you make them comfortable by saying, we understand why you're here. All right, so let's get into a lesson. Each of these have approximately 10 tips. I'm not sure if they all have exactly the same number of tips. But let's spend the next 10 minutes talking about how to make your home page work for conversion and for reducing your bounce rate and all the good things that are performance indicators of an effective home page. Let's begin by thinking about what it is. I showed you a couch, and I meant to say, sit down and make yourself comfortable. The question on the mind of the busy person who just landed on your home page for the first time is, should I stay or should I go? If you're a rock and roller, especially if you've been around for the years that I have, you recognize that to be a lyric from a Clash song. Your home page really is a lobby, if you're thinking of it like a retailer or really any business. They're going to get there, and you want them to know that they've come to the right place where they can be helped and they can be comfortable, and they're not scared, they're not confused, they're not struggling to find the resources they're looking for, and they're not pressured. So make them comfortable on your home page. The first thing you should do is provide big, bold assurance. So I'm talking essentially about the headline. Now there's going to be a dominant element on your home page, of course. It's often sliders, as in, multiple images that slide or dissolve like a slideshow would, but that's a little less vogue today than it has been in the century that led up to now. But whether it's a slider or a static image or even the teaser for your most recent blog post, what they're going to see is going to have a headline on it, above it, or below it. And your job is to assure them that you understand the challenge they face. You want to reiterate the product category that you're in. And so, in other words, let's use lead squared as an example. We want to say in big bold type so that nobody's confused, we're here to talk about marketing software or lead generation software. So I encourage you to avoid the generic. This is probably the most common line you'll see on a homepage. Welcome to our website. That's a complete throwaway. It's just, a placeholder that, might say we're nice. It's sort of like asking somebody, how are you doing? It's not useful in continuing the conversation and increasing their comfort. And what is useful is assurance that you're going to speak to the category that interests them. So next in your website's homepage, you're likely to have introductory copy. If you're me, that's probably a couple hundred words. I've been challenged on that's too long, but I am a copywriter, so I'm trying to engage you with the beginning of the story I tell. Yours might be a sentence, it might be a paragraph, I don't know. Whatever it is, it should be clear and concise, and it should be a continuation of the headline idea. So the mistake I see being made here most often is this is where the company starts talking about themselves, which is a big turnoff. You start saying, our mission is this, or our elevator pitch, and so that copy's lifted from the boilerplate copy that goes at the bottom of a press release. And that's a sure way to bore people and convince them to leave. So you want to focus on the visitor. In other words, you see there on my third bullet point, you. We are here for you. We understand your pleasures and your pains, and you're in the right place. Well, let's go. The next suggestion I have for you is to think search and don't think SEO. So I separate these two because times have changed. And if you are a copywriter, or even if you're playing the role of one with some discomfort perhaps, but you are indeed the person responsible for writing your homepage, yes, you're going to have some forethought going into keywords, how you might be found through a typical typewritten search. And I want it to end there. The days of putting keywords with great density on your home page and playing all the tricks that you hope will game Google into giving you preferential indexing, those are over. So your optimization should be entirely invisible, and when you overthink your optimization, it's not. It gets real clunky. And so the idea of writing to a robot is a bad idea. You want to write to humans, and though you're going to have keywords in mind, you're going to use them as naturally as possible. So that's why I say think search instead of SEO. All right, so again, attention spans are short, and everybody's got their finger on the back button, and they're multitasking, much like you're probably doing now. And so the idea, of course, is that I'm sorry, I had a little screen interruption there. I hope that you didn't see that. But the idea is you can't be fluffy on your home page. So you need to get out the scalpel like a surgeon and remove everything that isn't meaningful. So I call that snuff the fluff and get to the point. You, of course, want to have a talented copywriter craft your home page, and so therefore the story should begin with a lot of flair, but not fluff. So anything that can be thrown away should be thrown away. And those are easy to spot if you have the level of experience that I do. So look at that and run that by professionals or even a test market. Somebody started playing some music. Sounded like a game show. All right, so again, we've talked about their short attention spans, and your job is to edit ruthlessly. Okay, and so now begins a conversation, and of course if you said, company XYZ is the innovative cutting-edge leader of blah, 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 you're talking about yourself and largely to yourself, and that's the opposite of having a conversation. And so I encourage you to be personable, and some tips that to keep in mind are keep the talk low tech. Even if you're talking about technology, you should be talking business issues first, and typically focusing on a value proposition your company marketers have agreed to, such as saving time or money. Pretty much dominates all value propositions in business-to-business sales anyway. And so buzzwords are babble and useless and confusing, and you're going to want to leave them out. And I like this tip. Imagine you're out to make a new friend, because you are. Okay, you're saying, spend some time with me. I'm listening. I care. Make it easy to navigate. Now, I guess you could say that this tip is not strictly related to copywriting, but the copywriter hopefully is going to collaborate with the designer and have some input. And so while the temptation is to win design awards on your website, I caution you against making anything other than simple. And so your navigation bar should be horizontally along the top of the website, featuring the things people expect to see. If you insist on doing it otherwise, I suppose it could be a sidebar along the right or left side, but it shouldn't be difficult for anybody to find what they're looking for. Again, back to the lobby. You get into the lobby, let's say there's a lot of aisles in this big store. There could be a directory there saying, go here. We sell housewares here, and we sell women's clothing over here. Don't make it hard for the people to find what they want to find. If they have to go hunting, they're going to leave. So we talked about your navigation bar and elements, and they should be simple to find and understand. And then in the makeup of your homepage, typically you're going to see what I call pods. I got this from developers and designers. They mean, as the page goes from an element up above that's probably wall to wall in terms of full column width. Down below, you're going to start to see smaller elements, perhaps stacked in columns of 2, 3, or 4. And so each one of those are likely to have links, and therefore those should be simple and keyword specific and easy to understand as well. So for instance, if that's your new product, that would be a pod just below the main graphic on your home page, and it should say what it is and have a call to action that says, click here to learn more about our new product. Plan for a scan. Again, we're speaking to people's attention spans or lack thereof, so KISS is keep it simple, stupid. So understand that this person's not really wanting to spend probably more than 10 seconds on your homepage, because it's not your homepage they're looking for. It's something within your website they're looking for. So be brief and get to the point and make your copy sparse. I am reluctant to tell people how much copy. I always say, don't count characters, make your characters count. But anything that is fluff, as we spoke to before, can go. And make your website clean and friendly to the eyes with a lot of white space. Now, white space can be blue space or black space, but what I mean by that is negative space. The worst websites are overpopulated and crowded because the website maker couldn't decide what was most important, so they put everything on their homepage. Make the blog easy to find. If you're practicing inbound marketing today, you've joined the party and you have a blog, and it seems to me that a lot of people, though they do have a blog, they're not as proud of it as they should be. So it's cleverly hidden in the footer or in microscopic type up above, or it's called something other than blog, like news, which I find to be very confusing, or it's in a resources section and it's one of a number of choices. Your blog is where you're going to flex your know-how. Your blog is where you're going to win the friends, win the authority, win the trust of people. And so not only should it be great, and it should be something that you're dedicated to contributing to and improving weekly or more often, it should be prominently promoted. So make it easy to find on your homepage. Don't hide it. Say, go here. You're invited to come to our blog where you'll find lots of valuable information. And a great way to do that is to feature recent posts and or popular posts. So you might see that in the form of a slider. You might see that in just the most recent post. My favorites typically dedicate a fairly ample chunk of space to the 3 or 4 most recent blog posts, so that you're not risking losing potential reader based on the topic of the most recent one. So there's a little bit of a selection there. Be a crowd pleaser. This is, I think, the first of 3 times I'm going to speak to social proof. Social proof is perhaps a confusing term, but obviously inviting to the party the idea of social media. And so you're going to have hopefully collected feedback from your audience at least at some point. And if you can use this, you're going to enhance your credibility. And so social proof examples would be testimonials, nice things your partners and clients have said about you. Logos is a popular thing to show. We serve these companies. You might have reviews of a star system of some sort. Accreditations and accolades. These are all good things. If you belong to a group or you're a certified vendor or provider of so-and-so, all these things are going to be what's now considered social proof and enhance your credibility. The last tip here is really for people that have a robust either following on social media or subscription base that might be through a RSS feeder or probably more likely through email. And so if you have a sizable number there that you're proud of, there's this consensus mentality. If you join our, let's say 10,000 subscribers, it sounds like, I'm at the first here at this little, garage operation. These guys, have the credibility, and I'm missing out on something if I don't join them. All right, so we're going to segue now. Let me grab a quick sip of my drink here. Okay, part 2 of the presentation today about the 3 most important pages of your website is your landing page. And again, that can be plural, but let's say we're going to apply this mentality to your first landing page and every subsequent landing page. Now, your landing page is critical to your success. Anybody that's dug into Lead Squared resources understands that what you're trying to do is build a database, and that database at the very least includes people's emails. And so when you have a landing page, we're looking to capture an email. And so let's define what a landing page is, because technically you could say any page somebody lands on is a landing page, including your home page. But what I mean here is what used to commonly be called squeeze pages, and they're usually not called that anymore. That icon suggests that there's a form there that I've presented here on this slide. So that's what I mean by a landing page. A landing page is a place where we go in exchange for information about you. We're going to give you something. It might be access to a webinar. It might be a downloadable asset such as an ebook. It might be a membership, a subscription, what have you. And so the point is to think about conversion and do everything you can to make the percentage of conversions high. And so the landing page, unlike the home page, is not about finding or about helping readers find what they want, because they just came from somewhere with the idea of getting something that you've promised them. And so it's about delivering what you promised them. And it's gated, meaning they have to do something that you choose, typically provide their name and email, before they're going to have access. So here we go with suggestions for making better landing pages. Make a keyword connection in the headline. Okay, so let's say, let me give you an example of this. You just read something about expert copywriting. Okay, so I guess we're talking about my business here. You might have saw that in an ad. You might have seen that in a guest post, a partner website, whatever that might be. Your expectation after clicking is you're going to land on a page that delivers what was promised there, and so that keyword connection needs to be made. So a landing page is not a great place to get all cute and creative with your headline writing. And so the first thing they see, much like I talked about assuring them that they're in the right place and they should be comfortable, should be connected to what they just saw. So the visitor comes with an expectation. They're asking themselves, am I in the right place? You want to reiterate that the answer to that is yes by making a keyword connection in your headline. And now, here's a piece of advice that unfortunately is ignored a lot. People get anxious about the idea that from the landing page, the visitor has very few options. You want the visitor to have very few options. Okay, a landing page has one reason for being. Like I said, it's for delivering, and then from a marketer's point of view, it's from capturing email addresses. And so your landing page should not attempt to say, by the way, we have other products. By the way, we have other programs. By the way, we have nice people. We won these awards. None of that goes on your landing page. There is no cross-selling or upselling. And if you give in to the temptation to do that, you're going to see your numbers drop. Landing pages are measured simply by the number of people that fill out the form. And so all focus should be on the offer. We're going to give you this when you give us this. So do not cross-sell, do not offer links to other sections of your website, and do not offer an escape route of any kind. Now, there's one small exception, because as the author of the website, you might be thinking, well, I at least would like them to know how to get to my website if they've never been there. So a good practice is to discreetly make the logo of your company atop, probably, or somewhere prominent on your landing page, a link to your home page. Otherwise, no escape routes. Use action words. WIIFM, if you're unfamiliar with it, stands for what's in it for me. So the person here on your landing page is thinking, what do I get? How do I get it? And you want to answer that not with generic stuff, like a button that says ebook, webinar. Even submit, though it is an action word, is kind of weak. And so what I propose you do here is answer with action words, otherwise known as verbs, and tell them or suggest to them the value. Learn how to blank, blank, blank. Download the essential guide to blank, blank, blank. Get insights to your challenge by opting into our valuable newsletter. Showcase the value of the offer. We've talked relentlessly now, perhaps, about the idea that a landing page is to capture emails. But until you've done that, you haven't succeeded. So somebody that is on your landing page is a visitor. They're not a lead. And so you want to tell them exactly why they should do what they're being asked to do. Make it unmissable. So the value proposition might be, if you attend our webinar, you're going to learn how to improve the conversion on your website. Of course, that's this offer, and hopefully you're here because you saw a good landing page that said as much. And then on that landing page, if you're going to have additional elements, you're going to want to use subheads and captions. You know that the reader's his eye is going to bounce around the page, and so each place they go should really reiterate the same story, and you can almost count on them going to the images and reading the captions. That's what they're there for. There's often little pictures or little icons that are teasers to what you're offering. And so reiterate your value proposition there. This tip I have here, dreamy value statements, might be a little hard to understand, and so I'll explain. A great way to address the value statement and reiterate the value of the offer is to sort of tap into the reader's dreams. So let's say you're selling them a great way to prepare Valentine's Day dinner. You might say, imagine having the best Valentine's Day dinner of your life. So that's what I mean by a dreamy value statement. And then the benefits should be specifically addressed if that's business to business. Like I said before, that's typically going to be in the realm of saving time or saving money or making money. And if we're talking about consumer issues, like I just did with the preparation of a Valentine's Day dinner, the benefits would be enjoying your dinner. Write in a friendly second-person narrative. Little grammar 101 there, I guess. Second person means my voice is me, Barry. Well, not Barry, no. My voice is me, or I. And when I'm speaking to you, I say you. And anything else I think is cold. So it's a pet peeve of mine to see a company speak to themselves or about themselves like in a third person, which is, let's say it's Starbucks. The web page would say, Starbucks is a blah, 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 and Starbucks offers blah, blah, blah. That's just weird. I mean, there's going to be times when it's unavoidable, but what I'd like you to do, if possible, and it's always possible if you're a small company or offering a boutique service of any kind, is to speak about yourself. When you speak about yourself, use the word I or we if it's plural, and when you're speaking to somebody, use the word you. And so another pet peeve, job titles. A company has a website that says, cloud computing users or something like that. End users, even worse. Very much creating, sort of littering and polluting the idea of having a conversation by treating everybody in a third-person narrative. So speak in a second-person narrative. Add bullet points. This is good stuff. I think if you get to an offer that is lengthy, like a webinar or a series of templates or an ebook or a white paper, there's going to be a lot of content in there. And if you write, if you replicate that content in your landing page, there's no point in the person filling anything out. And so take a look at the offer that they're soon to take advantage of and take it apart with a table of contents of sorts. So look at the table of contents. Maybe there's 20 chapters. Try to summarize that in a much shorter series of bullet points. On the bottom of my slide here, you see 1, 2, 3. I like that. You get to a landing page, and it promises you the 3 most important takeaways. So you might see like icon, takeaway 1, icon, takeaway 2, icon, takeaway 3. Those could be small images, or they could just be typed. But make them real skimmable, and you do that with bullet points. So allow those to work for you, list the benefits of what you're delivering, and like I said, I use that as sort of a table of contents. I see this one violated a lot, and I think this is a big mistake. We talk now about the popularity of visual social media such as Instagram and Pinterest, and it's nothing new that people take in far more information far faster when they see pictures. So have a picture of the offer that you're making. If that's a printed piece, or I guess we seldom actually talk about printed pieces, but you know what I mean. If that's a PDF, feature the cover prominently. If it's a webinar, feature the first slide. Put a lot of effort into making this look beautiful and make it big and central to your landing page so that the communication happens visually first. Obviously, they're going to keep reading, so I say show and tell. And don't take shortcuts. One thing I see a lot that is a horrible shortcut is instead of showing the cover to a printed piece, what's shown instead is like the icon of a PDF. Not good. Too generic, doesn't, emote anything. So show the piece, and then once again summarize it and the value of your offer in a caption. So I promised you I'd be hitting on social proof 3 times today. Here's number 2. You'll want to add credibility to your offer. So this would be social proof specific to the offer. So a caption or a testimonial that goes on that page might say, this was the most valuable thing I ever read. Or taking this course, doubled my lead conversion or what have you. Now you're going to make it specific to your business, but if you can add testimonials and they are true and genuine and if possible come from a voice of authority, that's a great thing. Numbers work great here. You might say that join 3,000 of your peers and downloading our most popular ebook or something like that, so that the numbers provide proof too. Okay, now this is a give and take, and you'll see people experimenting with the length of their forms. Commonly you'll see forms that have unnecessary fields. The more fields that go into a form, the less response rate you're going to have, or the lower response rate. So obviously you don't want that. Now you might have such a cooking business with inbound marketing firing on all cylinders that you simply don't want to be bothered by tire kickers. And so I'm not saying do not consider having a form that says, what's your budget, what's your title, what time frame will you be making a decision in. Those tactics can help you qualify the interested prospect. However, they will lower your response rate. So if you're looking to build a database and the numbers come first and conversion is the tactic or the metric that you care most about, your form should be 1 or 2 fields. And so you see here over on the bottom right, email and name is good enough, and in fact sometimes you don't even need their name. I like to get their name because I like to propose that my clients do personalized email. But if you're not planning on doing personalized email, all you really need is their email address, and the relationship begins, and you might have the opportunity to find out more about them in subsequent communications, particularly emails. So the fewer fields that you ask for, the higher response rate you'll get. And then don't bury your form in a sea of noise. Make your form super easy to find, typically above the fold, so to speak, and simple and well designed with a big contrasty button that says submit or click or get, these active verbs that I talked about earlier, right there. You can see even that little tiny icon that I'm using in this section, the blue highlights the button. So the form should be super prominent and super simple. And I guess I got ahead of myself with the button thing, but the people that sell and teach marketing automation now sort of combine the idea of call to action. If you go back as long as I do, that typically was a line of copy. It typically said go to our website or call this phone number. Today it's click here or use this button. So that button should be conceived with some writing tactics in mind too, because the idea is you want them to get clicked. So the words that go there shouldn't be as generic as submit. Studies will show you that those perform poorly. Even download might not be that great. I like to put a value statement there, and so perhaps there's a few words above the button and a few in the button. And so like down below is an example. Send me free tips on how to blah blah blah. Or I want free tips on blah, 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 and then the button says, get them now, or some sort of action verb. All right. Once again, give me a chance to take a sip of my drink. We'll come down the stretch. If you have questions, I will soon get to them. I'm going to look and see if you do have questions. Yeah, it looks like we've gathered a few questions, so good. If you have questions about home pages or landing pages, now's the time to ask, and I'll get to them soon. And 5-10 minutes from now, we should be done talking about all of these pages. So let me go back to the first page. We are now going to talk about your About page. I think this is the one that scares copywriters the most because of the sort of irony going on here that the About page is clicked a lot. It's probably number 2 on your website. If you look at your analytics, you're going to want to know if people are going to it, and then you're going to want to know if it's your leading exit page, and it probably often is, because here's where you find boring stories about a company's history or milestones or managers or what have you. And so think of this as that awkward first date. If you sit down and that object of your affection on the other side of the table only hears you yakking on about you and how great you are, it's probably going to be your last date. And so think about the compassion and sensitivity that comes with being a good listener. Even though this About page is actually about you, the questions you should be answering is how can this company, how can we help you? So the challenge here is to write an About page that's actually about your reader. What problems will we solve for you? Tricky, I know. All right, so start off by being interesting. Don't test your reader's patience. What do I have here? Get the reader to want to know more about you, not less. Yeah, I mean, go ahead and think about this today when you're browsing and look at About pages, and you'll often see them drag on and on with boring information. And so you want to leave them wanting more, not less. So hit the high-level, interesting points in a personal, conversational way, and don't take the risk of boring people by trying to include everything. It should be tight, it should be well-paced, it should be fun to read, and it should be without a lot of detail. Okay, use video carefully before you attack here. Obviously, video is very popular, and thanks to the YouTube generation, we've lowered the bar, and it is okay to have not so professional video. So I'm not telling you to invest with a Super Bowl commercial style budget into your video. Go ahead and turn on your camera, your smartphone, and speak to it and say hi and make a video. That's good. What's not good is depending only on that. The different readers have different favorites in terms of media and the devices that they're using, and so some are going to be conducive to video and some aren't. So you're not going to want to depend wholly on video. I've seen this a lot. You get to an about page and the one and only choice is to watch the president talk. That's dangerous. Go ahead and offer a short video without relying on it, and please don't make it so that it auto plays. I like to think this trend is dying, but I see this on sort of the infomercial style about pages or landing pages where somebody walks into the picture and starts talking, or music starts playing, or a video comes up and you forgot that you had your speakers turned up pretty high and you jump out of your seat. Don't make the decision for your visitor that they want to watch video. Offer the video with a play button, and a volume control, and don't scare them with an autoplay video. Okay, so you're on your About page, and the temptation is to sound like a press release and go back to that third-person voice that bores people, and I don't want you to do that. You now have the opportunity to introduce yourself and to be interesting, and you do that by having a conversation with the reader. So be warm and approachable, and avoid the stiff and stilted thing that sounds like government work. Have a sense of humor, assuming that you do have one. Use it. If this scares you, use a professional copywriter to make your About page conversational and human. And don't get into your jargon. In any profession, there's going to be inside language that you think is well understood, and that's dangerous. So small words have a much bigger influence and effect. You use a conversational voice and start the conversation. So, social proof number 3. On your About page is a great opportunity to present credentials, as long as they're relevant and they're not just chest pounding. And so you might think, look around your office and say, you earned a certificate, or you won an award, or you're proud of a letter that you got thanking you for your awesome service. These things play well on your About page, and so you can transfer what might go on your office wall to the page where people are trying to learn about you. Badges, that's sort of an internet term, but like if you got certified in something, or you resell something, or you're accredited in some way, or you won an award, or you're a top blogger, the list is long. Those are typically given to you as badges. They serve the purpose of the purposes of the person who provided them, so it's a win-win situation. So you have something that increases your credibility in the form of a badge, typically an icon with a few words attached to it. Go ahead and use those. They might go on the bottom, they might go on the sidebar. I wouldn't make them first. And here's a list of the things they're talking about. You're a speaker, that's great credibility. You're probably going to want to collect artwork from the conference that you'll be speaking at. And then, of course, testimonials. And so, if you have a lot of those and they're important to telling your story, that's probably a separate page. But if you want to have 1 or 2 on your About page, that'll probably serve you well. Lose the BS. The About page is both of these. This slide and the slide that follows is sort of about pages being fictional, and so About pages again are about the reader and why they're going to value their time they're spending at your site here, and so they're not to feed your ego, and so you want to be wary of the superlatives and hyperbole, and so you might have taken a hack at your page, and when you go back, if you find words like we're visionary, we're outstanding, world-class, cutting edge, the list is long, get that stuff out of there. That's not for you to decide. That's for the press to decide. That's for customers to decide. Leave that in the hands of the market. If somebody was quoted as saying you truly are cutting edge, I'll buy that. That can go there. But you shouldn't be bragging about yourself with these superlatives that are really not that meaningful. And please don't say you're a thought leader. Even if you are, that to me that's like saying you're rich or you're good looking. That's for other people to say. So again, I promise you it's sort of a 2-part story, because another thing I see on About pages is fiction. People confuse their aspirations, with their accomplishments. This is the transparent age where honesty plays better than any sort of surrealistic image you can paint. So if you opened your business today or last week or recently, or you're in beta, or you are improving your products, don't lie and talk about how you have hundreds of customers that you really don't, or that you're the leader in so-and-so if you're not. If indeed you do have accomplishments, use them humbly and tell them instead of why they make your company great, why they make your company a great resource for you, the reader. But don't get ahead of yourself with the things that you envision yourself accomplishing and lying about them. Take some chances on your About Us page. Maybe you don't have video there now. Try that. I think if any page or any type of page is like a boring, predictable blur across the internet, it would be these pages, About Us pages. So if you went from, if you picked an industry, let's say, any industry, the floral industry, and you went to the About pages of florists, I'd be surprised if they differed from each other, and so they don't accomplish that warm fuzzy feeling. And so take some chances. Write a page that nobody else could. And how would you do that? Talk about your people. Your people make you unique. Talk about your approach. Talk about how you help real customers. And so push yourself to not write a generic page that your competitor can cut and paste. If it makes you a little bit nervous, I'm saying this sort of thing, maybe it's a strong opinion, that's a good thing. You're going to wind up being happy that what you published actually once made yourself nervous. Biographies. Okay, so if you've been around a while and you have a management staff, or maybe even like to people in middle management or lower levels within your company, you have lots of bios. That's okay. If there's a lot of them, that's probably separate pages, and here you're going to be talking about the C-level executives or the founder. But again, this is a real opportunity to be boring. If you think your resume goes here, you're wrong. Your resume goes over on LinkedIn. On your About Us page, if you're going to be talking about people that run the company or have significant roles in the company, don't make them 100% academic and professional. In other words, so-and-so studied here and worked here and was promoted and they're really good at it. I expect to hear that. If you're running a company and an expert in something, I expect you to have gone to college and got jobs and worked your way up, and you're really not going to impress me by telling me that. I would not expect you to tell me something interesting about yourself. And so, as trivial as it may sound, maybe you like to cook, maybe you like to garden, maybe you're really serious about a sport, maybe you're really into the role as a parent. I always push my clients to have a bio, perhaps with some obligatory stuff about, key milestones in the career, but has a conversation starter. It's unlikely that if I read your bio and the next thing we did was meet or speak, we'd start talking about your prior job or your college, unless I also worked there or also went to that school. But if it said that, you have traveled to 79 foreign countries, I'd probably say, wow, tell me about that. What was your favorite? So I hope you know what I mean here. I'm looking for human interest. Again, where you're making an introduction here on About pages, and so use social media to do that. This is the opportunity to begin a relationship and connect. And so take those little chiclets and stick them below the person's profile. If you have a person profile, say, you can connect with this person here on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, what have you. Pick the ones that are most relevant or most important, but don't be afraid to send them to a personal link, because building relationships is what you're trying to do. So publish those. If they blog for you, you might have a link there to their author page and the pieces that they've written for you. And if you're okay with it and you want visitors to your website to look them up, you can include your email address or their email address there. You want to do that with caution. Typically want to spell out @ or .com or something like that, such that a robot can't come along and snag it. But it's not a bad idea to encourage email contact straight from the About page. The About pages should be skimmer friendly. Again, if there's a lot of information, be a lot of people, a lot of milestones, a lot of history, whatever you decide is going to go on your About page, it's risky to make it long, and therefore test the patience of your readers. So here are some tips to make a lot of content skimmable. Bullet points, like we spoke to when I was speaking about consolidating the benefits of your offer. Same goes here for being skimmer friendly. You want to highlight perhaps history, milestones, or accolades. Stick those together in a bullet point list. Interview formats, they're unusual but they're cool. You might say, here's the top 3 questions we get, or here's the top 3 questions the Director of Technology gets. And then videos, a single video or maybe a series of videos on your About Us page can increase engagement and make it more friendly. Again, different readers consume media in different ways, so that might be something to experiment with. Keep the page up to date. Websites are never done, and though you might have thought, 6 months ago or 6 years ago when you said, all right, we're ready to go live, click that button, there's our website, isn't it great? If you haven't touched it since, you're doing yourself a big disservice. And so I see a lot of About pages where the company is not keeping it up to date. And so the typical things that might have changed, you might have grown, you might have shrunk, you might have changed locations, you might have added locations, you might have added partners, you might have added employees. Hopefully all these things are additions instead of subtractions. And so go back to your About page and make it about the company you are today. Not yesterday, not last week, and not 6 years ago when you thought your website was done. And so whatever's new should be put on your About Us page. And again, this is my final tip for this section and the entire presentation. Remember who the page is really about. So again, the irony and the trick of the About page is you're tackling it with this idea of we're here to answer questions about ourselves, but you're really here to answer questions about why the reader should care. That's the most important thing. And so if you're looking at a blank piece of paper or screen and you're stuck, you're probably going to go through the W's exercise, who, what, when, where, why. If you ever took journalism courses or PR courses, you learned, that's what goes in the first sentence or paragraph. And that's okay. If that gets you unstuck, that's okay. But among those 5 W's, by far, the why is the most important one. So if you can make your About page answer the question, why? Why this company? Why this person? Why this service? Why this product? Why am I here? You've succeeded in engaging people on your About Us page. So don't get salesy on your About page. You are going to have other opportunities to do that, and so don't force your company or your service or product down anybody's throat on their About page, and allow the reader's interest to come first. All right, so I'm going to get into your questions now. That's a picture of yours truly, and I asked, can I help you? I hope I have helped you. This is a lot of information. Let's see here. I can be found at feldmancreative.com. I have a blog and all kinds of resources. And then if you wanted to follow me on Twitter or address the topic matter here today, you can tweet to me anytime. I never miss my tweets, and so I will get back to you. I'm more or less done. I'd like to get into the questions, and I'm trying to figure out how. Somebody in the question field has offered their website. I don't believe that that is going to help us. Okay, so I don't have questions to field. Does anybody have a question? We don't have to have questions, or they don't have to come to you right now. Perhaps this presentation was so thorough that I answered all of them.
Looks like, Barry.
All right. Looks like no questions?
Yeah, it looks like you answered most of them.
Yeah? Do you have any questions?
I will have a lot of them.
Did we uncover anything that's wrong with your home about or landing pages?
Certainly, there are a few tips we can implement in a couple of pages. I would say.
These pieces, this presentation was based on three posts I wrote at my website, and then I rolled them together for a longer piece. I'm not exactly sure which website that landed on. So we'll make some of these resources available to people. And they're not all the gospel. You might challenge some of them, but I'm hoping that if you paid attention from start to finish or access this later, you'll find some weak spots in your three most important pages and correct accordingly. I have one more slide, I think. Yep, it says you can go now. And so if we don't have questions, I will sign off. Again, I'm Barry, and my last name is Feldman, and therefore my company is Feldman Creative. And if you add a .com to that, you'll be at my site. And I'd like to thank you and wish you good luck. Thank you for being here today. And now go write a great homepage, go write a great landing page, and go write a great about page. So thank you, lead writer, thank you, audience, and we'll do this again. Goodbye.
Thank you, Barry. Thank you, everybody, for joining this. Have a good day.